I am Matt Bradford. You are watching Guitar Tales with Dave Cohen.
Well, Matt Bradford, thank you for that bumper. That was the premiere of the Matt Bradford bumper. Say that 10 times fast. Matt Bradford bumper. Uh, I watch him every day on Instagram, and I always take the time to listen because he creates a new sort of mini piece every day, it seems. And his work is so inventive, creative, and soulful all at the same time. It's fantastic. So check out Matt Bradford. He does beautiful work. He builds the guitars you're watching him play, which is super, super cool. And he's just a good soul. So thank you for that brand new bumper for the show. And as we do every week, we want to thank, there you go, Confections for Rockstar in Asbury Park. If you are in Asbury Park, check it out. If you're not in Asbury Park, get your ass over there because Asbury Park is absolutely wonderful. We were just there this weekend, and not specifically at Confections, but I was there a couple weeks ago. Great people, great food, great time, great pictures, and they service people like Alice Cooper, someone I met once. And even more famous, they service Scott and Aaron, our co-host Scott, who go there all the time. But more importantly than anyone we just mentioned, we have a phenomenal guitar player on the show tonight, Anthony Gomes, and I'm going to read some of these bona fides, if you will. He's played with Buddy Guy, Robert Plant, Joe Bonamassa, Hart, some guy named Sammy Hagar. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Kenny Wayne Shepherd, and more. So he's got the real bona fides, rated by some as the #1 blues guitarist. Phenomenal guitar player. Scott and I have been doing all our deep dives on YouTube. We're thrilled to have you. Come on in, everyone, from the green room.
And Billy Sheehan. I just saw a video with Billy playing bass. I'm like, is that Billy Sheehan playing bass? It sure as hell was.
And we got him.
I want to ask Anthony about that. Let's get Anthony in here. I have so much I want to ask this guy. I'm a huge blues fan, and when I heard him sing, I was like, oh yeah, we're having him on the show. And there he is.
Right on. Here I am.
There you are.
Do you have your fluffy pink handcuffs or whatever they are?
Yeah, man. You never know when you're going to need some handcuffs. I mean,
that's what they say.
I must have played that song about 100 times the other day while I was power washing the house. It was just sort of in my rotation. It kept coming on. Really fun song. Really great. Very catchy. So where are you coming into us from? Where are you tonight?
I live in St. Louis, Missouri. I've been a resident here for about 10 years. And so, yeah, I have a few days off, which is great. And when you're a musician, a few days off means you're really working anyway.
Right.
You're in the studio or you're doing something else. But I'm not on the road, which is great. A nice balance to being on the road. So, yeah, man. And I was like, what do I want to do? I want to talk about guitars, man.
That's right. On your day off. That's right.
Do.
Yeah.
And I see I got a really nice Flying V. Is that your main rig? I see it in a lot of videos, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's I love the Flying V. I'm a Strat guy too. HSS Strat. It's pretty versatile. I love Les Pauls, Gretches, Fenders, Gibsons, and
so cover them all.
Yeah.
What's your favorite weird guitar?
Oh man, well, I don't know if it's a weird guitar, but I got a Malcolm Young Gretsch.
Ooh.
That's one pickup is under weird.
Yeah, and or a little different. It's like missing 2 pickups, but it tracks great for rhythm guitar. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, man. So the other day I bought a midlife crisis guitar for like $200.
Well, let's see it. I love this already.
It's a Kramer Beretta.
Oh yeah, that's Grimace I saw, right?
Yeah, Grimace. It's an Indonesian one, which are slightly better than the Chinese ones. And
everybody's gonna think he's a lefty, but I think his video's backwards. But that's
right. Yes.
Now here's some trivia for you. We've, I think, 2 or maybe 3 times, we've had the great Henry Vaccaro on our show, who for a period of time owned Kramer.
Wow.
Yeah, he had a lot of cool stories.
He had the aluminum split neck guitar. Remember that? The tuning fork guitar?
Yes.
I had the Model 250 when I was in high school.
Nice.
But then he also worked with Eddie on all those guitars and knew Eddie.
Wow.
So he's in his probably mid 80s right now, and he's younger than we are personality wise. And we had him on as a special guest with Phil X on our Van Halen tribute show.
Right.
And it's like they were talking to Paul McCartney. They were so excited.
Yeah, Phil was pretty like, wow. He just was like, wow.
It's funny because I'm originally from Toronto.
Right.
And Phil's just a couple years older, and he used to do a jam. I guess his parents had a Greek restaurant or something.
That makes sense.
And like every Sunday night, he'd have a jam. And I used to just hang out. And it's really cool to see all the things that he's done. And he's come a long way from the restaurant gigs, I mean,
it's cool to see that. I mean, I've seen that in my lifetime with a couple of friends of mine that went on to superstardom, just see him playing in the local gigs here, like the Stone Pony and stuff where we are here. And the next thing you know, they're at Madison Square Garden or on SNL or whatever.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. He used to have a little secret thing where you just yank on his ear a little bit because he didn't want to say, I'm going on TV and I want to say hi to all my friends, Scott and everybody. So he was just like, I'm just going to pull my ear.
And so that was like the Carol Burnett thing.
Yeah. He said, I'm going to pull my ear, and that's my way of saying hi to all my friends.
Oh, okay. Very cool. And that way you get out of the doghouse because you're like, yeah, I remember you.
Yeah, you see you're on TV. You could have mentioned your Uncle Phil. What the hell?
You didn't just get a ear move? Come on. Yeah.
Where's your next gig? You got time off, but are you working again this weekend?
No, actually, our next gig is in the Houston area on the 15th of June. We start amping back up a place called Do-Si-Do.
Okay.
It's a cool spot. We've never been there, but we hear great things.
All right, cool.
We hear the food is great. So.
Get some Frito pie.
That's funny you should mention that. But one thing, my dad is a musician. He used to say, "Don't eat before you play." That was like a big thing.
Right.
So a lot of guys do eat before they play. Do you find that being an issue?
Well, it depends. Like, I mean, if you're going to eat an extra large pizza with double cheese, it might slow you down a little bit.
Yeah.
Some people are very fanatical about it. Like, I cannot eat. Myself, I'm pretty open. I can eat before. What I usually do is eat half and then save half for
there you go.
later on.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, you need some gas in the tank. I mean, come on.
You do, right? Yeah.
I'm kind of a finicky eater before a gig, and I have all those, I don't drink milk, and then worried about my throat, and
right.
By the way, great voice you have.
My secret is milk. No, just joking.
That's right.
He's playing this song and I'm grooving, and then he starts singing. I'm like, what is going on right now? That sounds great.
Thank you.
Totally blown away. So I reached out to you. Thank God you didn't think I was some kind of robot. Hey, you want to be on our podcast?
Right. Well, you didn't offer me $3,000. That's the. Well, maybe you did. I know.
That's right.
That's the great one. It's like, hi, I'm Joe Rogan, and I'd like to pay you $3,000.
Yeah.
You get them every day.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. Or violating copyrights.
Yeah. Well, there is a very good chance that Scott and I are both AI. We're just screwing with you right now. We're robots.
You're very familiar somehow. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. In a strange way.
Yes, you're a composite of all the people I know. Yeah.
That's right.
I made a bunch of AI songs. I found this computer program when I was messing around with it. You just put in, you want a blues song, and the subject matter is car broke down on Route 80 or something, and it just makes it a whole goddamn song. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Scott was blowing up my phone with those. Yeah, I would get these songs about Dave who was tired today. And they were really good songs.
Dave burnt his nose making a pancake.
Which is waffle or omelet.
So here's a real crazy thing. I did an interview with a really great blues magazine blog called Blues Rock Review.
Okay.
And they asked me about AI. And truthfully, I don't know a lot about it, but I took an open-minded approach, right? because I notice whenever there's a change in technology, you get two schools of thought.
Right.
One school that goes, oh my God, this is the beginning of the end. This is the most horrible thing. And then you get another group that goes, oh, think of the possibilities.
Yeah.
This is amazing and tremendous. And
Right.
the interesting thing is they're both right. Like, you know, and the truth lies in between there. So I don't know really much about AI songwriting, but I like to keep an open mind of things. You know, being in my 50s, I've known that through life you just got to be open to things.
Right. I
You know,
agree.
you have to adapt or die. You know, so. And then after I said that, there was all this chitter chatter about, oh my God, you're writing songs with AI. This guy, and it's
No,
like, I'm like, no, I just don't want to say no to something.
Yeah.
I think that you know, it's interesting. Any way that we can get inspiration is great. So I wanted to address this since we were talking about AI.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, the same thing happened when we had technology of amplifiers, right? When the first Line 6 amps came out of California, they were handmade. I think I had like one of the first 2x12s, and I use it all the time. Everybody's like, that sounds amazing. And then a few years down the road, oh, modeling is crap. And, you know, I even have a modeling Marshall from years ago, a JMD1 that I got from Marshall. And it's in my practice studio. I use that all the time too, and it sounds pretty good.
Yeah, man,
You know?
your tone really comes from these things right here. You know, your hands.
Yeah,
for better, for worse. You know, and
it is true. You need in your style of playing is based, you know, in the blues and the masters. You know, I see a lot of you know, blues people borrow from the history of blues, right? We all do it. And but there's some other you've got some other more modern techniques to your playing too that are also tucked in there, which I thought was nice.
Thank you.
Which makes it, you know, more interesting than a normal blues solo would be, let's say.
Well, to run with what Anthony was saying before, which I love. So if we were to go back to say late 40s, early 50s, right? In the blues world, I'm sure there were folks who were saying you're cheating when you're electrifying your guitar.
Yeah.
You know, and right now we look at that as the purest form of blues. You know, you have just a pickup going clean through an amp, maybe a little natural overdrive or something. But the reality is, as soon as guitars became electric, I'm sure, like you said, there were those folks who were saying this isn't real, this isn't pure, this isn't music, you're cheating, you're getting more sustain than you deserve to get because an acoustic guitar doesn't naturally have that kind of sustain. You know, all these things. And now we look at it as innovative, phenomenal music.
In all music, but even especially to me, at least with the blues, there are no rules, right? I mean, you've got Robert Cray, who doesn't use any distortion hardly at all. He's plinking along.
Wait, how was that?
Okay.
You know, to me, the challenge the blues has is everybody markets the blues as this is where it all began.
Right.
This is where it started. Oh, kids, you got to listen to the blues because rock and roll and rap and funk and, you know, all came from the blues. So the dilemma is if you are influenced like an artist like myself, I love the blues and I feel like I'm a blues artist, but I also like rock. I also like gospel. And the danger is if my blues gets too rocked up, when does it start actually becoming rock and roll and not the blues? You know, so, and there's some people that want to keep it firmly entrenched into what they think the blues is, which is probably some.
Yeah, there's some traditionalists out there. The same thing holds true for like country artists, right? They always go through that whole, oh, it's too poppy, it's too rocky.
Right. So, you know, you basically just have to be yourself. And I think the more you are yourself and the less you look at what makes you different as a liability, I think it resonates with people.
Oh, Scott, we just got a clip. I love that.
AI, find that clip.
Right. Right. Celebrate that which makes you different.
Yeah. Exactly.
As opposed to looking at it as a liability. And I think what you're also saying is play for yourself and the rest will follow. You know.
You know, so in my genre, there's always been a pressure not to be too rock.
Yeah.
And man, I grew up with Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, right? And then I discovered B.B. King, and everything that was missing was now whole in my world.
Yeah.
And so my latest album is my 14th album, right? So, and I guess I just said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to play. If I want a finger tap, I'm going to do it.
It's tastefully done. That's what I was saying before.
Yeah.
Like I like that was in there.
And the interesting thing is, the less I worried about trying to appease the industry, all of a sudden we've had by far our most successful album. And, to my point earlier, what you think is your greatest weakness is your superpower. Everybody used to say you're too blues for rock and you're too rock for blues. You got to choose. You got to make a choice. And my choice, what are you? And my answer now is yes.
I love it.
Yeah, and
very good.
Yeah, it takes a lot of stupidity or courage or a combination of the both to have the balls to say that you can do that.
When I think of the blues, the ingredients for me is, if you're a blues guitarist like you are and a singer, the ingredients that make me want to listen to your song is your performance, your look, your voice, right, which I've talked about already, right, which I really love, and your playing, which I really love, and it just sounds so great put together. Your band is so tight.
Thank you.
And they lay a perfect foundation for you to do your thing. Without overplaying, unless you're playing Billy Sheehan, who's always overplaying the bass, but in a good way.
Yes.
You don't want to upset Billy. But I mean, isn't that really the ingredients of blues? Is a very emotional genre.
Yeah, I think personality, passion. People, they talk about feeling it. And I can feel like Beethoven. I hear Beethoven and it's moving. But when I hear blues, it's sort of like the hair on the back of my neck. If it's a great performance, and it's just like, and it's less about technique and it's about emotion and nuance. And because you have such a simple chord progression, or things are so simple, that allows you a wider range of expression. Yeah. You may have 7 notes that you can play against this one chord, as opposed to something that's got all these, substitutions or whatever, and you've got 2 notes that you can go to.
I mean, years ago, very short story, and I'm not trying to gloat or anything, but I got friendly with a couple of blues guys, and there was sort of a resurgence of pop songs that were blues oriented, right around the Fabulous Thunderbirds time.
Yeah.
And I'd written a whole bunch of blues rock songs, pop songs, and tried to sell them. And unfortunately, one of the guys passed away, and the other guy wasn't interested. But it was fun to write blues pop songs.
Right.
And it was so much fun. Albert Collins was one of the guys.
Yeah.
He was like, but my simple pop songs were too complicated for Albert.
Yeah.
But he's good at writing those funny, jokey kind of blues songs.
Yep.
I was trying to write some of those for him.
Yeah.
And it just never took off. But they really tried to get in, like, wow, Clapton's got a hit song out there, and Stevie Ray's doing really great with his pop. I mean, he's getting on the radio, right?
Yeah.
And so they said, we got to get in on this. And they but I can't really write pop songs. Can you kind of help me write some? And that's how that kind of all started. Went nowhere, but it was fun.
Yeah.
A whole catalog of poppy blues songs you can listen to.
There you go. Well, the interesting thing is, if something gets too melodic, my experience at least is, if it gets too melodic, it then stops being blues rock and it becomes like corporate rock, where like Journey. I mean, you listen to some of those riffs. I mean, Neil Schon is a hellified player, and Steve Smith, the whole band, but it's those melodies that make them such awesome songs. But a lot of times the root is even blues based, But, yeah. So I've noticed if it gets too melodic, then it starts going into more of pop or whatever. If the melody stays a a little bit more simple in terms of note choice, then it ends up more in this blues rock area. That's one thing I've noticed.
Yeah, I mean, if you add a lot of background harmonies and kind of do all that kind of stuff, or add a lot of keys or synthesizers, and then you're slowly moving away from where you're at, which is very, very raw, very emotional music. You
But
know,
what it really, the lesson, the simple lesson in all this is the guttural appeal of blues, because if you journeyize it,
Right.
people want to listen to it,
Right.
because on the subtextual level, they're responding to that which we love about the blues,
Right.
and it's just getting gussied up,
Right.
for everyone else.
I have a theory. It seems like every 30 years the blues makes a comeback, right?
I
Yeah.
agree.
And I feel, and in part to our earlier comment about AI, I
Right.
think with AI, there's going to be a demand from the audience, a natural demand for stuff that's very human.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like, is this real? Are these guys really playing it? Well, when you hear us, you know it's real.
Yeah.
For better or for worse, right? And I think that the live performances are going to become more important, because we're going to want to maintain that connection to our humanity.
Yeah. It's weird. You're making me think of all things of someone like a Chris Stapleton,
Yes.
because, he's living in the country world theoretically, right?
Yes.
But what we like about him is it's a voice and a guitar and not much else,
Yeah.
and the voice is natural, it's guttural, it's accessible, and then it's real simple guitar underneath it.
Yeah.
And even though it's a different genre, I love your theory, because it makes sense. Is that this will create that yearning for something that on some level, there'll probably be software that someone can say, all right, this is verified as real and not AI,
Yeah,
Right.
maybe.
Yeah.
and somehow, I mean, if you put a song in front of me and I see a piece of vinyl, and through this stereo system, and then through this stereo system, I've got a digital thing through my iPhone. If you can convince me that I'm listening to vinyl, I'll enjoy it more, even if I can't really discern the difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I,
Yeah.
the scariest part of AI right now, anyway, and the technology is going to get better, where you could take anybody's voice
Yeah.
and make them sing that song. Like you having the horror of hearing your own voice being digitally created singing Yesterday or something.
I was thinking it'd be a lot less work. I mean,
I know.
let the robots make the records, they go on tour, I can sit home and mow the lawn, but I'd probably have a robot to do that. It's great. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I think hopefully now we're also getting away from too much canned music at concerts and stuff. There's
Yeah.
been more of a push
Yeah.
for the band to really play, and fewer tracks being played over the top. It was really getting out of control for a while, where people were singing and they weren't even singing. There was a track being played.
And
They're moving their lips.
it sucks all the energy out of the room too.
It's just why am I there? I can go home and
Yeah.
listen to a record. I want to see the performance.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's some gray area, and people sit on different sides of the fence in the gray area. But for me, the black and white area is this. If you're playing a guitar and you're, looking like you're playing a guitar, and that guitar is not coming through the front of house, that is wrong. If
Yeah.
you are singing and that voice is not coming through the front of house or any other instrument, that is wrong.
Yeah.
If you have a keyboard intro or something or whatever, there's something to supplement the track, the main performance. That's debatable. But when I see a band and the singer isn't singing, the guitar player isn't playing guitar, it's like, why am I even paying you? There was an artist,
Yeah.
I can't recall who it was, but she was lip syncing recently, dropped her mic.
Yeah.
The track was still going, and she's looking for where it rolled on the stage. She picked it up, and when she started lip syncing again, everybody cheered because she found her mic.
Oh God.
And I'm like, wow,
What is going on?
what is going on?
Yeah, and you talk about coming back to real. Week and a half ago, I saw Parliament,
Okay.
and everything was real. They must have had 300 people on stage.
Yeah, man.
And the singers were real, the rappers were real, the 4 guitar players were real. But what that did to the energy in the room, it was just pure old school.
Oh,
Everything about it was old school. Amazing guitar solos, the percussion. But if any sound had been artificially piped in there, I think it would have sapped the energy. But
yeah.
when
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I met George Clinton at the NAMM show in the bathroom. And
Yeah.
so I'm washing my hands,
How many clothes did you have to take off to take a piss?
Man, I didn't watch that, brother.
I got feathers. I got a vest. I got a shirt.
And I just looked at him, and I didn't say. I just said, "You're George fucking Clinton." Like that came out of my mouth, very classy. And he's like, "Oh man, do you play?" I'm like, "Yeah, guitar." He goes, "Okay, come with me." And he took me to the PV booth, and I sat in with Funkadelic for a couple
Oh my God, that's phenomenal!
It was great. Yeah. So
you know that band really well. They're
well,
phenomenal.
I mean, not super well, but I sat in. And,
well, that's huge.
Yeah, and I remember I wasn't hip to Parliament when I was living in Canada, and when I moved to the States, and I'm like, Parliament, what is this? I remember putting it on the record and record on, and I was
isn't that a cigarette brand? What is going on?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's right. No, it was it was a very there's certain albums I've heard that I remember where I was when I heard that album or that band or that song.
Yeah. Right.
I remember hearing Immigrant Song, and I was in the passenger seat of my buddy's Trans Am in high school. He said, "Listen to this," and I was like, "What has just freaking happened?"
Yeah,
it's like a bomb.
Yeah,
you don't get those moments anymore that much.
Not as much.
No.
Although I did have a very great reaction to when I first heard your stuff.
Well, thank you. Good save, Scott.
But playing a record, is like a different vibe. I remember somebody brought over remember those like flimsy records? They were like giveaways. They were like almost like paper, square. But
they came in cereal boxes.
That's the first time I heard Scuttlebutt.
Oh wow!
Somebody got this like free record somewhere. I don't know where it came from, and like, you got to hear this. And I was like, "Whoa, that's amazing!"
That's the first Stevie thing I heard. I remember like at high school again, and my buddy's like, "Dude, there's a guy. He plays the blues, but he sounds just like Hendrix." And I'm like,
"Well, that was his curse. That he I would say, why is he doing this Hendrix things? He should try to be his own guy. Like in the beginning.
Yeah,
that was my big critique of him. He's just a Hendrix copy. I mean, what is this? I mean, come on, he could, and then, but he just sort of he finally found his way.
Yeah, it's hard when even as management, I'm reading stories, said it was very challenging to be a blues artist. Like for instance, the Rolling Stones loved Stevie Ray Vaughan, loved him. And they had their own nice camera work.
It zoomed in the ELP.
Yeah, try it again. I'm going to try it again.
Yeah.
You go away and it zooms in automatically to the next face it could find in the room.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, anyway.
All right, come on, don't derail the story.
So what were we talking about? Oh yeah, so big Stones were the big fans, right? You got the T-shirt of Stevie Ray Vaughan, and they started their own record label. And they said, "We love you, Stevie, but we're not going to sign you because you're only going to sell 50,000 records." Like that was even an action they loved. They passed on, and so I think, for a lot of acts, you've made it as a blues act when your album is in the blues section and the rock section at the record store. So and Stevie had to do that, I think, via Hendrix, and getting people, whatever you can do to get people to listen to you, especially back then,
I remember very vividly cringing when I saw the Let's Dance video and Bowie's on a mountaintop with gloves on playing a Stratocaster, mimicking Stevie Ray Vaughan's licks.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought he was playing guitar. I'm like, no, that's another guy named Stevie Ray Vaughan. You may not even heard.
And that's what I thought because that was maybe 81, 82, something, maybe 83. And I just thought, all right, he's He's certainly talented. I guess he's a good guitar player.
I mean, I bought a pair of white gloves just so I could play like that.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm thinking he's got some really good tone going on out of that guitar.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
What a weird story that was. I
Yeah.
think he just discovered him somewhere and put him on the record.
Yeah, Montreux Jazz Festival.
My dad was in years ago before Steve was famous. He was in Kansas City, and he was on one of those streets where a lot of bar bands are playing and stuff. And he heard this like incredible blues playing, and he went into the bar, and turns out his friend knew Stevie Ray Vaughan because he was, I guess, a local yokel, or was in town a lot. And you got to check this guy out. And he came over to the table to meet my dad. And he was completely strung out, and he was putting cocaine in his coffee and stirring it up and drinking it and stuff. And this guy's he's not gonna make it. He's not gonna live long enough to be famous. And but he came back from this little business trip. He goes, "You got to find this guy, Steve Ray Vaughan." I'm like, I can't find it. There was no internet then, I never heard of him until that day. I got that floppy paper thing. And her settle button, and I go, "That's the guy. That's the guy who puts Coke in his coffee."
No wonder he's so good.
Yeah,
that's right.
The horrible thing is, he got sober and he got grounded, and his songwriting got better, and his playing got better, and then just to have it end tragically for something really dumb.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
really that's the most heartbreaking thing, that he got his shit together, and he got better. The Austin City Limits show is amazing. Compared to the El Macambo show, you could tell he was completely strung out. When he came out there, he had like a ghostly pale, pasty looking white face.
Yeah.
And then,
but for a long time I thought, what a tragic story, because he had finally got himself together, and then but another way to look at it is he completed his life journey on a positive way.
It's true.
Not the drugs that took him out.
Yeah.
He left in the right path and on the right way, and is an inspiration to us all.
That's true. He didn't die, fat and strung out on a toilet.
Yeah.
Right. Because that sort of became Elvis's sad legacy. We could think about young Elvis, or we could think about what he became. And you're right, Stevie Ray. It's kind of like a Jim Morrison. He's perpetually young. I mean, he died in a different way because he was strung out, but musically, he was still at the top of his game when he died.
Yeah.
Now, Stevie Ray was at the top of his musical game, and he had his life together. So, that's an exemplary life with some tragedy. Really, for us, not for him, because he doesn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we've had a lot of artists on our show that have years and years of sobriety.
Yeah.
It's a real struggle for a lot of artists.
Yeah.
They get the trappings of the road, right?
Yeah, and I think less so now, but before there was a romanticized version and almost an expectation of, well, you're a musician, and you're supposed to be like Slash, passed out, don't know where you are. This is one of the perks. You don't have to be a responsible adult. You've made it. And now, it's like, well, do you know how to edit videos?
Right.
How's your social media posting going? Like it's are you learning coding? It's a different world, and maybe a healthier one.
Well, let me ask you this with what you just said. Do you think that is making the Anthony Gomes of the world better artists? Because what you just mentioned to me, social media posts, there's artistry to that. Look at what Scott does for us. You were marveling at, I have nothing to do with it, what Scott does on this. And so if you're doing social media posts, if you're writing music, all the things that 30 years ago or 40 years ago, you would have been putting up your nose or being drunk or passed out.
Yeah.
Now you're promoting your craft and your art.
I've been really enjoying this Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney, Wrexham documentary on Hulu. It's about them buying a Welsh football soccer team.
Okay.
And them coming into this community. And the great thing about this documentary is it's made me realize that it's about the community of music lovers. Like our show is, we're obviously a part of it, and our songs are a part of it. But to me, it's a the biggest part is everybody coming together to celebrate music.
Right.
And I really appreciate that documentary for giving me this better understanding. Um, and I think if you're too hammered and you're too at the party, and you know, sometimes social media posting and all this stuff, it's time consuming. And if you're working on an album, it's kind of a drag. Oh, I got to make sure that I did a Facebook Live, or I really want to be in the studio working. But the positive side is you're interacting with a community, and
Right.
that is the greatest thing.
And we're interacting now at a level we couldn't do before.
Yeah, well, look at all of us. We all have. Look at all we have shit on. I got Funkos. I got guitar amps. You got guitars. You got albums. And like we're all misfits and nerds that love music. It's
Yep.
we're the guys that buy tickets early, and if it's general admission, we're there at 4 p.m. waiting in line. I could tell you two guys are the same way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a thing, man, and this is what I love about today's music, because we're very engaging with our fans. We don't charge to meet anybody, and maybe at some point we won't be able to be as accessible, but for right now, I'm very grateful for that, and I'm very grateful that our career was an extremely slow burn, because we played.
I don't know if it just maybe because I liked one of your I liked a lot of your videos, but it seems like you're getting noticed. Am I wrong?
In the last year,
Is it blowing up?
We're blowing up, and the great thing is, prior to blowing up, we'd have the same 75 people for a decade come to every gig we did, and
Wow.
pay 15 or $20, and these people kept the lights on at home, kept gas in the van, and got us to this place that we're at now. And I know these people. I've known them for a decade, right? I've had dinner at some of their houses. I've even had Thanksgiving at one person's house. We've crashed on their couches. Like, now that we're playing to 3, 4, 5, 600 people at a venue, it's a way different thing, and people's perceptions of us are much different.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it used to be like, hey man, like they'd come to the merch table and just be shooting the breeze like we are now.
Yeah.
Now they come up to the table like, and they're looking, and it's like, no, it's we're the
still
same
us.
people. It's still us. Like, no pretense. Come on, let's take a picture. Let's whatever. But I feel like these 75 people have laid a base for these other people to come in, and they can say,
Yeah.
"Oh, man, the band's real, like chill, like go meet them." Like, and I'm so grateful for that. And I recognize faces at the shows, but if it happened too fast, in a short amount of time, with achieving success, I don't think I'd have the thing that I cherish the most, which is this connection, this love of
and blues fans are definitely loyal, right? Blues
Yeah.
fans, like we talked about hard rock, heavy metal fans. They have that same thing. We're a community,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we speak each other's language, like there's a lot of niche blues artists that run-of-the-mill people may never have heard of, but blues people know.
Right.
And that's and we can speak our language with each other and love music, love the past, love what's coming forward, and it's a great community.
Yeah, we get a lot of blues fans and rock fans.
Yeah.
And I love it because, I'll be talking to people and somebody will be like, I saw Randy Rhoads with Ozzy. And I'm like, whoa, what was this like? Like,
Yeah.
I want to know, and, or I saw Hendrix. Oh my gosh. She's like, what? You got to tell, like, and there's just something really amazing about being in that community of people that share those stories and have these experiences. It's an amazing thing. And that's what I love about touring most. A lot of bands, see a group of people that are there to support them and they run to the green room. I'm like, I run to them. What's going
Yeah.
on? What's happening? I want to know.
That's beautiful. And I'm sure the answer is yes, but I get that, social media, I think, brings you and your community closer. So it's when you have the touring and the social media, it's, Scott has fans for his band and I see them at the shows, but I know them from social media.
Yes.
Yeah.
before I get there, and then we have drinks together.
Yeah, it's amazing. And
Yeah.
I've had so many people say, half of my friends I've met at your shows. Like, and that's just, I mean, that's the coolest thing, you know, because at the end of the day, I mean, of course it's about writing great songs. Of course it's about singing like your heart in life depends on it and trying to be the best musician you can be. And
Right.
at the end of the day, it's about all of us coming together and loving life and celebrating. And that's what I love about going to concerts, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's some of the blues guys that I've met in the past. I was just in awe. Just in awe. My friend had a private party. Unbeknownst to me, the short story is his wife hired Johnny Winter to come play his birthday party.
Wow, what a
So
birthday!
I'm playing guitar with my stupid little band, unbeknownst that Johnny Winter's there. So I always tell people I opened up for Johnny Winter.
Hell yeah!
Then we
That's
sat
awesome.
literally right in front of him, like 1 foot away, and just watched him work magic for like an hour. It was like a religious experience.
Oh man, that's
So
crazy.
great.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
gigantic.
slide, which brings me to talking about your slide playing too. You're right in there with the slide playing. We were talking to Bumblefoot, one of our last shows, and I said like slide playing is kind of a dying art, and he's like, "Oh no, you could look and you could find guys that are good." And I was like, "Oh yeah, Anthony
Yeah.
Gomes plays slide."
Oh, well,
Yeah.
thank you. I mean, there's some really, really great players out there. Yeah, well, thank you for that, man.
I mean, there are aficionados that are really, slide is their thing, and that's all they do. Like Matt
Yeah.
Bradford, who started our show tonight. But gosh, I hope that never goes away. Slide is such a great, if it's done right, it's a great thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very blues. It just, that's it, man.
Do you have any Dobros in your collection?
Currently, no. Why? Are you looking to give away one? You got
No, I wish.
Yes.
No. I've come close to buying them before, even though I don't do that. But I think it's just such an amazing instrument.
It
you
sure
know?
is. They're beautiful sounding and haunting. It's a really haunting instrument.
Yeah. It's
It's
truly
a
cool.
very historical kind of sound, like you can't get at anything else.
No, and I can't imagine someone could probably do it, but electronically, I don't think you're going to replicate that.
No, it's really, yeah. I mean, maybe one day, there'll
Yeah.
be some AI stuff coming in. No,
I didn't think they could replicate a sitar, and then somebody came out with a pedal that makes your guitar sound like a sitar,
yeah, I mean,
so you can cover some
never
George
say
Harrison
no.
songs.
Never say
Yeah.
no. There'll be
Yeah.
somebody that'll figure it out.
That's right.
So what's on the amp side of Anthony Gomes' rig? We've heard about some of the guitars. What are you connected to?
I use a Kemper.
You do? Okay, cool.
Yeah, and of course I have Marshalls and Fenders and all that stuff. And whenever you say that, it's like you're a heretic. It's like, oh my God, you use a Kemper, but
No, we had some guys on that said it. They'll have a Marshall stack for the look, but in the back, they're really playing through a Kemper, and then the gearheads come up. Those Marshalls sound amazing.
yeah,
I love that you're an analog guy. Oh yeah, thanks.
yeah, Alan Parsons.
Push that Kemper back a little further there, Charlie.
Yeah, Alan Parsons, who engineered Dark Side of the Moon, an album, in my opinion, that sonically, 50 years later, still stands. Okay?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This guy plays the Kemper. And
Really?
yes, and what he had to do, this comes on good authority, but I'll put a disclaimer in case this isn't true and I don't want to be busting anybody, but he would rent backline Fender amps and put his Kemper behind him because he got so tired of people trash talking his Kemper. And then they'd be like, after the show, exactly what you said, Scott. Oh my God, that's the best.
There's also a reliability factor when you're touring, which is what these other artists had told us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't really. You get a JCM at this venue backline is going to sound different than the one in Texas and the one in Missouri. You don't know what you're going to get. When you got a Kemper, you know what you're going to get.
How was that?
Time.
Yeah, and to me, of course, a two band will kill a Kemper or any amp one-on-one. But as soon as you put a mic in front of it and you got a guy in the front of house getting your sound, then it becomes a whole other thing. I love them for the consistency. We're doing some European dates, and I would hate the amps you know, like you would go, like you play some small festival.
You don't know what you're gonna get.
You don't know.
Yeah.
It's like I've never heard of a Chachi 2000. What is this thing? You know?
Right.
And,
Chachi 2000. You hear that, Dave?
I did.
yeah, man, it's like, God, what is this? And you know,
I had the Joni 2000, which
yeah,
is
Yeah.
came out before the Chachi.
right. That's even not. That's half as good as the Chachi.
No. You just gave us another clip, by the way, the Chachi 2000.
I'm totally putting a picture of Chachi right
Yeah.
on the screen. But yeah, I had this massive half stack tube amp at a gig outside. It got too hot. It just shit the bed. And I
Right.
went to my bag and I got my backup, which was a line 6 something. And we plugged it in directly. And the sound guy during the break goes, "That amp you got? Yeah. Leave it at home. This thing we plugged in sounds amazing. What is it?" And I go, "Oh, it's a line 6 Firehawk or something."
Right, Chachi. It's the
Yeah,
Chachi.
it's a Chachi 2000. And he goes, "Yeah, leave that gigantic amp at home. Bring the Chachi 2000."
Well, if we take ourselves all the way back in history, right? When we had the Marshall stacks and what was the Suns, right?
Right.
How many albums were recorded with a little Fender Princeton amp?
Yeah.
Or a Champ amp? So, when you have this, 1969 to 75 really great, tube technology, that was granted that the Champ back then was a tube, but you'd have a little 20-watt amp. So they would record their albums with either a Champ or a little Princeton.
Yeah.
So even when you compare the top of the line then to sort of the equivalent of a line 6, they got amazing sound out of a little 20-watt amp, and they would record entire albums on it.
And further to your point, Revolution by the Beatles was plugged directly into the board.
Oh, really?
Or direct into the board, as was Black Dog by Jimmy Page, and he triple tracked it. So, I mean, there's no amp. There's no
amp at all. Yeah.
I mean, it's just boom.
So is that like mainlining guitar?
That's mainlining. It's the purest form of guitar expression.
Yeah.
Straight into the board. So
I used to plug directly into my Fostex.
Man,
and it sounded just like Revolution.
Yeah.
It sounded really shitty.
Yeah. Well, the intro to this show was recorded on a Fostex in 1985, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That was like one of Dave's garage bands or something. He got this tape. He goes, "This is going to be the show theme or whatever."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, I love it. It's cool. It's like, kind of historical. It's like your old band, and it's kind of neat." And then somewhere along the line, we had a director, or producer, and they're like, "You got to get rid of that shitty song. You're gonna have I have a better song that you could use.
We could buy a better song."
We're like, "No, it's a hard no. You don't understand. This is right. We know what it sounds like. It sounds like a garage. It's Dave's garage band. We got to."
And it's not objectively good, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And all the guests go, "What is that song? Where's that song?" You can get it for 99 cents on our merch
Stream
page.
Stream it now. Yeah.
That's right.
I have Anthony's QR code up there, folks. If you want to hit that.
If you want real music as opposed to that.
If you want real music, go to that. It's a lot of fun. So I'm gonna look up the Chachi 2000.
Yeah, I know that
which probably means it was a Chachi 1000.
Right.
And a Chachi 500.
Those are hard to get though.
Yeah, they're very desirable. Collectors have them.
Yeah,
that's the big takeaway from this.
And if you can get a Chachi 1000 in good shape, holy crap! Because they're all banged up from being on the road so much.
I'm looking on eBay right
Everybody
now.
loved them.
I
mean, they were huge in Bulgaria.
They were.
Had it.
Yeah.
Now your band is just made up. It's just the three of you guys.
Yeah.
And even when you go on the road, you don't bring on extra singers or extra keyboards or anything like that.
No, in the past I've done that sort of thing, but we like the power trio thing. We're lean and mean.
Yeah.
The recording sounds really tight. I mean, I know you probably double track some guitars and stuff, but it sounds really, really great.
It does.
Thank you.
It's sort of it's not overproduced, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's just very tight and it just sounds so good. The tone is really great.
Well, thank you. Like when I started to make records and recordings, I'd go into the studio and be like, I have 24 tracks. You mean I can do 17 guitar parts and then harmonize this and everything? And it was fun as hell to do, but the final product, everybody be like, this doesn't sound anything like you live. And it's
Right.
because you don't have 34 hands to play all these parts, right?
Unless you're Geddy Lee, yeah.
Yeah, unless
That's
you're getting, yeah.
Yeah.
So, exactly. So I realized the more that you can replicate, at least in concept, the live sound,
Right.
the truer it is. And, actually, when I started going into the studio to record as a teenager, I looked at the studio as the enemy.
Hmm.
The studio's oh man, I know a lot of bands, their albums suck. They go into the studio, they don't sound like they do live. I hate the studio. Somebody's going to mess up our sound. Like that was,
Yeah.
as teenagers, we were very idealistic. Growing up in the 80s, it was like, we do not want a snare drum that sounds like, drenched in reverb, and
Yeah.
we were big 70s heads back then. And, but then you start going, oh, the studio, oh, look at all the possibilities. And you start being more mature and understanding production and arrangements. And you might even listen to a Madonna record or a Lady Gaga for the production. And you're like, whoa, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And then you should come full circle to going, the studio's the enemy. Like you need that balance of it's your best friend and it's the enemy. You can't let it.
Well, look at the Who. They backed themselves in a corner with all that synthesizer stuff, like Baba O'Reilly and whatnot. And I heard the story where they had it on tape, regular old tape,
Right. And the old,
and the tape would break.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they
were piping it in because they didn't hire a guy just to play keys. Sometimes they did, but most of the time they just played the tape.
Eddie Bundrick, wasn't that their keyboard player? Eddie Bundrick or something like that?
Yes, he played the Chachi 2000.
Yeah.
No, that's the keyboard is the Chachi 4000.
Right. It's much more powerful. Solid state.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know where that came from, but it's hilarious.
It is.
And Chachi and Joni are no longer together.
Yeah.
No, and they're not. And he didn't have good things to say about her, by the way. That I shouldn't know such things, but I do.
Right, but now after this, I'll have to Google it. See.
Oh yeah, there was antipathy between them. Yes.
So you're not backing yourself in the corner, is my point. When you go into the studio and you're recording stuff, aside from maybe a couple of double track guitars, you're pretty much you can replicate live what you're hearing on the record.
Well, yes, and I like to look at our music as the black suit. A black suit is timeless. You go to weddings, you go to funerals, you go whatever. You wear a black suit. As soon as you start putting on the disco pants and the big collars, or the acid wash jeans, or whatever, like. The more you get in tune to what is currently hip, the more you're 5 years down the road, you're going to feel like maybe you made a bad choice. You were a moment of popular culture,
Right. Yeah.
And I always like the idea of, if you wear a black suit, and, you keep it in that lane, then you're always relevant.
It's true. Like to this day, I still regret getting a tattoo of Scott's face on my ass. I did it years ago. I thought it was a good thing at the time. Right. And just now,
Here's to bad decisions.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I have one tattoo, and it's not of Dave. I passed out when I got it, and I haven't gotten another one since. I was so mortified. I was really, really dreadfully ill, and I kept the appointment because I'm an artist, and I drew the design, and the guy's like, I don't normally do this, so you got to make an appointment. It's your design, and I'm not really involved with the design of it. I'm just going to put it on your body. And I was just sick. And I went there with my sister and I passed out immediately.
Oh, wow.
Of like dehydration or something. But I got it done.
Yeah, man. Well, it was
get out of my sister.
You were out, so I mean,
scared the crap out of my sister. Sorry, Barb. But that's the only tattoo I ever got. It's cool, but it's a guitar. It's a big surprise there.
Yeah.
I want to get the Duke Silver Trio tattoo, but I didn't.
Oh yeah, man!
I didn't do that.
That took me a minute to get. Do you get the reference?
Yeah, Parks and Rec.
I had it. I know it, but he had to explain it to me. But I do know that. Yeah.
And the bar that he plays at, I've played at.
Oh wow!
It's no longer around, but it's called Cozy's.
Isn't that something?
Sherman Oaks, and I'm like, I know this. I know this bar. I played there.
I would tell everybody I played where Ron Swanson played. That goes a long way.
That
does.
In the updated bio, it'll be there. Yes.
Yeah.
We bought a on auction a bottle used at the snake juice bottle.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We bought the prop from a prop master in LA.
Nice.
I don't know. It was stupid money, but my wife and I wanted it so bad. I'm like, we got a snake juice bottle. And then we showed it to people and they go, I'm sorry, I have no idea what that is. You don't watch Parks and Rec?
Right.
And
one of my
"No,
favorite
it's
shows.
dumb purchase, but we love it. It's
Well,
neat.
Ron Swanson is God, but
Yeah.
he is. So now, where are you? Where are you next? Where is your next faraway gig besides the one we just talked about?
So yeah. Gosh,
You've got Houston, and then where after Houston?
we're in Denver. We're in London, Ontario, Toronto, Ontario at the El Macambo,
Okay.
which is really cool. And then we're in Idaho, Romania, Spain, and Italy.
Oh wow,
Wow.
You're going overseas.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like straight from Idaho, right to Romania. So
It's the same crowd, really.
it really is. Yes.
He's
Yeah.
gonna take the train over there. We always say on the show.
Yeah.
We're gonna, yeah.
That's right.
It may
Jump on the train.
take us 2 months to get there, but yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And on your latest record, which you can, I've been flashing this down here at anthonygomes.com. I'm assuming it's available everywhere and anywhere.
Yes.
And and you also have some vinyl, very cool vinyl. You can get that from the website.
Yeah.
And I meant special guests on the record besides Billy Sheehan.
Well, that one is our quote unquote latest release, but it's a remix of a 2018 album. Our most recent release is High Voltage Blues, which came out a couple years ago. Okay. And that has Billy and Ray Luzier from Korn on drums. And that record just did so well. It debuted at #1 and it stayed in the top 10 on the Billboard Blues charts for 58 weeks.
Wow.
So that's sort of like all of a sudden that album, just catapulted us from obscurity to now near obscurity. No, up to this next level. So, and a lot of people were saying, well, what should I get next? So we remixed using the same awesome mix engineer, Chris Collier, did the High Voltage Blues album. And then he redid Peace, Love, and Live Guitars. So it's sort of our new but not new album.
Okay. Well, it's new to me. That's all I know.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm discovering it, and I'm gonna look at some of the other, or listen to some of the other stuff. Big fan, and maybe I'll see you at one of the shows, Dave, and I'll come by and bother you.
Oh, I'd love to see you.
I'd love that, man. You please let me know. It'd be great. Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. I'll hit you up. Now I have your cell number.
Yeah, man.
That's right.
A little technical.
I'll be getting spam.
That's right. He is. That's right. That's right. Scott, send him some of those AI songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna write an AI song of the Chachi 2000.
Oh my God, you should do that.
Yeah.
That's the greatest amplifier ever made.
Yes.
And see what AI makes a song out of.
Oh, send that to me too. That'll work.
Yeah. I mean, I know you don't want to change your theme song, but if you ever did,
the Chachi 2000 might be
the way to go.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, just like that, Dave, as I always say,
yep.
hours tick by and it feels like we've been talking for 10 minutes.
It always does. Yeah. If you look on your screen, you got a little ticker there. We're literally just at the 1 hour mark.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's the same. If we have a good guest like you, it feels like 10 minutes because it's just a bunch of people talking about music and guitar. So
yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. I don't think I've laughed this much in an interview. You guys are just so personable that I feel I've known you forever.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for that, man.
Dave, what's our motto? They come as guests and
they leave as friends, and it's true.
Yep.
Yeah. And
you guys are pretty tight. You're finishing each other's sentences.
Well, we've known each other since we were 11 years old, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
And we're both pushing 40.
Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Or maybe 60.
29 years ago, yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Who you want to? Well, we're going to invite Anthony to do a show bumper for us anytime you want to do one. You're more than welcome to do it in your persona, in your costume, maybe
right,
a gig
costume. Right. Yeah, this is the pre-show look. Yeah,
that's right.
I haven't done it yet. But we got a really cool bumper from our friends who play with Ace Frehley.
Nice.
And they did one from the show at Mohegan Sun Arena last week, and I'm gonna doctor that up and add that to the show.
I like the new album, Ace's new album, 10,000 Volts. I think
It's
very,
a good. Isn't that a good tune?
yeah, it's a great album. I think that I was pleasantly surprised, man. It was
Yeah, and we went to see them. We had drinks with the band, and then we saw the concert. And there's a lot of energy in that room. It's really cool.
He's really busy.
Yeah,
They're booking gigs like crazy.
well.
But it was nice of them to take the time out to do a little spot for us. And it's very funny. Ryan Spencer Cook and Jeremy Asbrock. So who's taking us out tonight? We're going to do Big Daddy again. Let him take us out.
Let's let Big Daddy take us out. And
We got a lot of big surprises coming up. Another big rock star coming on. We're just going to try to get that nailed down for June. That'll be another Guitar Tales special.
yep.
And I'm looking forward to that one.
And we're secretly working on an old project for an old punk band. That's all I'm going to say right now.
And a giveaway. We're working on giveaways.
That's right.
That's huge too. I don't want to say too much about that, but the proceeds will all go to charity.
Yep.
And we were trying to line that up. So a lot of stuff going on here at Guitar Tales.
Yep. And
Anthony, I want to thank you for coming on the show. I'm a big fan. I can't wait to hear what you got coming up next.
Thanks so much, guys. Dave, Scott, appreciate it, brothers.
oh, absolutely. We had a great time with you. We really did.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks.
All right.
Big Daddy, take us out.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Number two. I'm number two. No, I was the second. That's right. I was the second one. The second on Guitar Tales, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching it right now. I'm Big Daddy Ed with the Amish Outlaws. I gotta go back to work. Here we go. Guitar Tales, watch it!